Hi everyone, this is my basement collection. I'm going to show you all the highlights today. Over here to the left is the racing car collection. Features a full-size Initial D arcade game. It's kind of my pride and joy. Over here we have a few different pace cars and any numbered liveried race car. We've got a mix of Japanese and American in this cabinet. Over here we've got a full-size 1/4 scale clay model of the Cadillac that I did for my GM certification, and above that a rendering I did of a Ferrari Enzo quite a few years ago. Case below it, more liveried race cars. We've got a Europe in this one. So anything that has a number or a livery is in this cabinet. Following over here we have another full-size video game. Lethal Forces, a favorite game of mine as a kid, with an accurate early 90s Chevy Impala Caprice on top. This is the main room of the collection. Over here we have all of the large scale 1/12 scale cars in this cabinet. And the next, above that, I've got a couple odd scales, 1/16 scale Danbury Mint, 1/8 scale Porsche, and then a lot of the more rare cars I keep protected in cases. Over here is where I'm going to be doing diecast unboxing and reviews, so stay tuned for those to follow. Over here is the main collection. Down here, believe it or not, everything's actually organized. Like this section is what I call the GM Orphan section. So we've got Saab and Saturn, Oldsmobile, and Hummer. Right here I have what's called the working car section. So we've got things like police cars, fire trucks, taxis, quirky stuff like that. I have a few limos. And then, believe it or not, everything is organized by country of origin. Down here we get to some of the movie cars. So this row here is all Italian. So we've got Lancia, we've got Fiat, we've got a whole lot of Ferrari. Below that is Japanese, and below that is what I call the oddball, a lot of random manufacturers that maybe I have one car of. This is one of 3 Germany rows I have. I know we've got Mini Cooper in there, but they're basically BMW at this point. So this is all Mercedes. Then Volvo. I know Volvo's not German, but I was running out of room. Then we have McLaren, Aston Martin. We've now ventured into Britain, UK, Land Rover, and Jaguar. Then above it we're back to Germany with my Porsches. And yes, they're getting a little bit dusty. I haven't dusted the cars in over 3 years. The plan is to do a plexiglass enclosure one of these days. It's on my to-do list. So here we have Volkswagens, and I try and organize them by generation. If I have, you know, all the GTIs, I put them in sequence, things like that. Otherwise, I keep them in order of date if I don't have enough cars to really fill out a sequence. And more BMWs. And then we're back to Lincolns in an American row, largely. Lincoln and Ford. I try and stay pretty organized, but then I run out of room, and so then they start crashing into each other on the same row. But that's what happens when you reach 800 cars. You can't be too picky. And then the last row is pretty much all American. It's Chevy, General Motors products. Again, I try to have the Corvettes in sequence. My goal with Corvettes is to pretty much have every year. You know, some years there were really no changes, like 53 to 54 is just a color change, but I still try and have them all. I also don't have any hot rods anymore unless it's a movie car. I try and have cars that represent how they would have come from the factory, so customs and things like that. I purged all of those out of my collection a year or two ago. I also have a decent mix of die-cast and resin. At first I wasn't a big resin fan, but resin allows for them to make some more interesting cars because they don't have to worry about recovering as much tooling costs, and resin seems to do a really good job of capturing the stance and proportion that sometimes die-cast companies can't really afford to do and focus on. So now let's do some panning shots so you get an idea of how large the collection is. It's about a 30-foot wall down here, so that helps give you an idea of how big that is. And then this last rack is specifically some of my favorite movie cars. So I try to have, I've got Ghostbusters, I try to have all the James Bond cars, the Munstermobile, Dragula, TV Cars, Knight Rider, A-Team. Movie cars is pretty much my favorite part of the collection. People can kind of identify with them all, even if they're not car people. So yeah, that's my collection. Again, my name's Jameson. This is my channel for Diecast Cars. And subscribe and stay tuned for more videos of my collection and some reviews coming soon. Thanks again.